welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Black Royalty, here where everyone is royalty. I'm your host once again, King J. You already know me. Last time we had a different host, and I want to continue that. I don't want to just take over the podcast like every single time. I definitely don't mind being here, obviously, but this is supposed to be an outlet for all people of color, especially to take control and show their voice and show their stuff. So the next episode that you guys see is going to be, I think, Led Again by Kaya. And then we might come back to me. Maybe we'll do one with me and her. It depends on what you guys like. But today we have someone super special, Dr. Tin-Kee Angela Zung. And she was my biology professor, who is here today with us. She teaches biology 241 and 242, right?
Yeah, 240 and 242 lab. I haven't taught the lecture yet.
Not yet.
But that's how we met.
Yeah. I was in her class, and she was one of the only professors who would consistently check in on me, and when things were going wrong, even especially we all have our trials and tribulations going through college, and she was really the only professor who would take the time to try and understand, and I really appreciated that the most about her. So she's gonna be the first person I bring on here.
All right, yay! But I thought you already have 2 episodes, so what's up with that?
Yeah, I have 2 episodes, but none of them are professors.
Okay.
They're just the students. I wanted to take the opportunity to start bringing professors though, and I definitely wanted you to be the trailblazer for that, so that I can bring other professors to help get more in touch with the students and see another side of the campus that they don't get to see. So with that, I kind of want to ask you what your USD story is. That's usually what I start out with, and kind of get to know you. How'd you come here?
All right. Well, before I start, I just want to talk about the math situation. I do have a face. I am around some immunocompromised people who got really, really sick with COVID, and I don't want to get them sick, so that's why I'm wearing a mask. But yeah, USD story. So I graduated from UCSD with my PhD in neuroscience/biology in 2018, and then I realized that I am done with research. I really am into teaching, so that I started teaching in different places, including community colleges, and that was the first semester. I taught at 2 different community colleges, and then I really wanted to try liberal arts colleges because I have only been in public, big state university for my undergrad and grad school, and I kind of know a little bit about how teaching and learning is like there. And then I taught at community college, so I thought, okay, the last kind of category I haven't covered is a liberal arts college. And USD is one of those in San Diego, so I wanted to come. And then that happened. There was this email that landed in my inbox that said, hey, there's job opening there for part-time teaching. So then I applied, I got the job, I started teaching in 2019 spring, and then I continued. So we gone through COVID time.
COVID time. Let's just not go over COVID time. That wasn't the time.
Bleep out COVID.
Nah, just none of that.
Yeah, so COVID time was rough because I was teaching lab, so it was extra rough because labs are meant to be in person, hands-on, and a lot of the skills are meant to do that. But yeah,
I'm interested to know in how you would teach pipetting.
Oh my gosh, we pretended to.
We pretended.
To teach.
You were just just hold it like this, and
we
just
yeah,
squirt
videos.
It out.
We have people who actually recorded videos of professors doing the lab, so then people can at least see what it would look like if you're actually doing it. So all the labs that you did, we recorded the video and then we posted it online, and then we're saying, hey, that's the best we can do.
So they took chemicals and put in their imaginary spinner type.
Oh
of
no,
thing?
actually they actually did the experiment because somebody needed to do the experiment to generate data.
I mean the kids that were watching, they were just imaginary.
Oh no, they were just looking at
Zoom. They were just looking. Yeah, that looks totally great. Cool.
Yeah, cool. So we had that. That was a few very stressful semesters, and then we came back, and I forgot, when did we even come back? Fall of 2020. 2021.
Last year.
And then I think that's when you took 240.
Yeah, that's exactly when I came in.
Yes, and then so that was the first time we came back, and then I continued to teach here. I've transitioned from kind of teaching at community colleges plus USD to now I'm full-time teaching here.
Okay.
So that started in the fall of 2021. And I also have the privilege of coordinating Bio 240 right now.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, so that's why I'm trying out new
stuff. Does that come with a pay raise?
I don't think coordinating come with the pay raise, but being full-time does come with more money, and also I didn't have health insurance for a few years. So that was good to have that. But I think like more than that, to me, it's just I felt like I wasn't able to be integrated into the community if I was part-time, because I was always just coming in to teach, and I don't really know campus resources to recommend to students.
Right.
Like I don't know where things are. And so that was a huge challenge for me, and I wanted to be able to dedicate more time to learning about how can I didn't know about like student support services, for example.
Right.
So I think being full-time helps with that. And so then I transitioned full-time, and then now I'm still here. Yeah.
That's great. So why don't we talk about some of your like story in going through college, and a short version on like what like you would recommend for other students, and like what to take from your story or some things like that, because I've heard it like twice now, so
I know.
since I was in their class twice.
I keep sharing this story to every student. I think it's helpful. Now, before I say anything, I think it's good to know that it's just me. So everybody's story is different, and that doesn't mean that if you don't have your path exactly like mine, something is wrong. Everybody's story is different. But my story was before I came. So basically, I was an international student. I was born in China, and then I moved to Hong Kong when I was 7, and I did most of my schooling in Hong Kong, which is a city in China. And so I know that I was very interested in science, but I knew that there was no science really happening that rigorously in Hong Kong. It's mostly business, engineering, medical, doctor. That's like all that my parents wanted me to be, which I never wanted to be. That really was not vibing with them. So it wasn't like a lot of struggle, but then I know that I wanted to kind of come to the States to do science, and I thought that I wanted to do research. I didn't know what research was. Nobody in my life did research. To this day, my parents don't know what I did in school. They're just like, oh, she does something about science.
Something science.
Something, she's not like doing crime, so I guess it's fine. So then I decided to come here to the States, and I already have family here. So my uncle and aunt are in Phoenix, Arizona, and my parents, first time me leaving the nest, they wanted someone to be there to help me. So then, the only place I applied to was Arizona State University, because that's right next to where my family is, my uncle and aunt. So I went there for 4 years for my undergrad, and so it was very interesting because as an international student in a huge public state university, it just felt like very isolating, because nobody knew me and I don't know anybody. And I was just going in and out of classes that are 200-300 people, and like nobody really like formed a deep connection. So it was like really hard to make friends, and I also didn't stay in a dorm because I already have family in Phoenix, so I stayed with them, which could be a mistake, because I didn't make friends through being in a dorm either. So I just felt like actually labs are the only places where I could spend time with a team of people consistently, and I could kind of make friends that way. A little bit.
She actually ended up meeting your husband there, right?
Actually, my husband, we met in graduate school, but also in a lab. You
also
didn't remember
in a lab,
that
yes,
part. Yeah,
yes.
we gone through fire together.
Fire.
But I did meet a lot of cool people. I think it was actually really helpful for me to be exposed to a foreign environment, and I was basically forced to learn English really quickly. So I learned English. Oh. I knew how to speak English, and at least at the textbook level. Kind of, it's like if you learn Spanish, but you only like use it in a class, but never really spoken to people in Spanish. It's kind of like how I did it in English, and so it was hard. Like a lot of things I didn't know. And I was looking up words all the time. I had like a dictionary with me all the time, looking up words. And then at the same time, when I was first in my first semester, I was just this like naive person who listened to everything everybody said, and I just like wrote down, and you told me to do this, I would do this. So one thing they told me to do was like, oh, you should join a lab, you should be in research. And I thought, oh, okay. I just didn't even think about it. Like, of course, if you tell me I should do research, I would do research. So the first month, I think, of my undergrad, I contacted people, and then I joined a research lab. And that, turns out to be my lab for the next 4 years of undergrad. And then I kept taking more classes, and then eventually at the end, I felt like I have some sense of what research is like. And I thought, oh, I can do this thing because I already was doing research, I was taking classes, and I thought, well, grad school is just like more of the same, so it should be okay. But then in the meantime, while I was doing all of that, it was also really stressful because I'm still a recovering overachiever and perfectionist, and also
recovering.
Yeah, I think there's a stadium of us meeting every week in secret. So there's a lot of us out there, I think, especially in academia. So it was very stressful because I was getting good grades, but I was not taking care of myself at all. Like I was kind of like dissociated with how my body feels and how I was doing mentally. So I would just procrastinate until the last minute to do something, to turn in a homework, or like not study for an exam until the night before, and then cram it all in. And then people won't notice because I would do well on exams. Like I'm good at taking tests, but I feel like I missed out on a lot of like learning because I was not mentally and physically like healthy while I was doing all of that. And then basically everything kind of like peaked in terms of my stress. Peaked like to at the end of my undergrad in my senior year. I had to apply for graduate school. Well, not had to, but like I always thought, for some reason, even before I went to college, I thought that I wanted to get a PhD. I didn't know what that meant, so I thought, oh sure, I would do that. So I needed to apply to grad school, and that's when like shit hit the fan. Because I had to like submit 10 applications for grad school, and they all have like different requirements.
They're like 60 pages long or something.
They're very long. I don't remember how long because it was like a blur because I was not there, right? So that's actually when I realized like I hit a limit. Like even with all my procrastination and all of that, it wasn't enough to like. I was just crashing. I was just like too much happening. We have a light situation. Is it a motion thing?
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
it is.
Here we go. So then I just couldn't get myself to actually even put together the application because I just thought I was behind. Because I made these lofty things in my head to think, oh, I have to like perfect this application before I even send it out. And that was like too much pressure on myself. So then I had to, I basically started seeing a therapist because I just couldn't. I was like, this is something is wrong. Like there's 2 weeks before the deadline of my grad school application. I still haven't written one word. Yeah. And it's like horrible, right? Like, cause I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna get in any school.
It's really good that you were at least like self-aware enough to go and seek that type of help.
I don't know why I know that. Actually, that's a great point.
Because like the thing is, like, most people when they're going through something, they don't understand what it is that they're going through because they go through life from our generation of parents or even high, especially higher. There's no such thing as like mental health in regards to how things make you feel. It's always like suck it up, or it doesn't exist, or you're just like doing that to be lazy, or some other the case, in which they'll just tell you that you're not feeling this way, and then you don't really know what to do with that. So to even be aware in that situation, in a situation where you are also isolated, because it's not like you would talk to your parents, I would think about that.
It would be worse if I talked to them.
Probably worse. And that actually goes for most of us, if not all of us, as far as like millennials and Gen Z going forward. We don't really, our parents don't necessarily, believe in it per se. I'm fortunate enough to have parents that, will help me out if there's anything going wrong. But for the most part, like growing up, I never like particularly, like I was always like kind of, in a sense, maybe it was my own belief, where I just thought that anything that comes my way I have to handle, and not that it like wasn't like fully expressed that I could talk to them, but it was more like I didn't have a fully developed conscientious understanding that was the case. And so now, like whenever I'm feeling something wrong, I'll call them at like a moment's notice, like, hey, I'm not feeling too good, hey, this and this happened, or something like that. So being able to reach out is something that like I feel is very important. I still, due to how I was raised, I still won't like seek a counselor unless it like gets really bad. But again, the fact that you did, and the fact that you would outreach, is something that's like phenomenal to me.
I had no idea why I did that. It's probably because I was just so sick and tired of being sick and tired.
That's something my mom says all the time. She probably watching right now. I'm right.
I mean, I don't know, but it really helped. And so I remember having to like sit in the office, wait for the first session, and then they took me in, and then it was really helpful to talk to someone who I know is there just to do that job of helping me. And I remember making a conscious decision in my head that I have to trust this person. Like, I don't know how, like when I was meeting with the person, when you're meeting with anybody, you can lie. Like, you can say that I'm okay when I'm not okay. And for some reason, I just somehow, there's like a voice in my head that said, like, you have to trust this person. So you have to just be real, because otherwise it just won't work. So so then I was like very real with them, and they were like, why do you think you will have to basically be perfect before you submit anything? And that got me through the 2 weeks where I scrambled everything, and I did submit all 10 applications.
All 10 applications.
I don't remember. I did not sleep. Basically, I did not. I was like sleeping a couple of hours, like a few hours, and then just like work and sleep just a little bit. And then I submitted the applications, and then it didn't end. It's not like, oh, it's cured, I'm still working on it. I'm still working on my perfectionism. It's still like, it's very apparent, especially like in my I'm now more conscious about it, so I can see it when I'm working, or like in my marriage, I see like, okay, like my husband is like not perfectionist at all, which is probably why I'm like attracted to him, because I'm like, thank God there are not two people being perfectionists. Right. But he would point things out. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. It's good to like check myself with a partner.
I think I'm only like perfect in the sense of my planning, but as far as the action goes, like I kind of would probably need to work on that. As far as like executing, because I can plan everything perfectly and accordingly.
Oh, I'm really good at that too.
And I'm like always punctual. I'm militaristic, like things like that. But when it comes to like something that's like not high priority, then sometimes it like falls off the plan, and like sometimes that needs to be corrected. Like for giving an example, when I was in your class, I think it was mostly the second semester. It was a little bit of the first semester, but mostly the second semester that I had a bunch of worries financially, where I was on a scholarship, but I was also on the verge of losing that scholarship. Not so much losing, more like I had to find another one. And so my priorities were like, I need to find something, I need to find something, I need to do something, I need to go out there, I need to do this, I need to do that. And then like the work for the lab, it was like, it's 1 credit. Like it was like,
I know, and I feel you.
Yeah. So, but you being the one to literally reach out to me and go, Javian, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? What's happening? And I would be like, yeah, I literally just didn't do it, like in terms of like turning in some of the homework or labs, because I'm like, this is one credit, you know what I'm saying? And in comparison to like my bio teacher who just like took away my midterm exam, like I had to study for that and bring my grade back up and things like that. So I'm in my eyes, there are absolutely no professors that like reach out to you, but like you were the only one, and I sincerely appreciate you for that. I really do.
Yeah, I think that this is something that I actually learned from a training. So when I was teaching at City College, San Diego City College, they have a training for specifically how can we support men of color. And one of the lessons I learned is that intrusive care is really helpful, because sometimes we might think, oh, we don't want to like get into people's personal space because, you know, that's respect. And there is merit to that thought. But sometimes people don't know that you're seeing something about them. And if you don't like tell them, they might not know that it's okay to reach out, or actually, you know, dealing with it earlier is better than failing the class later. So I learned a lot like from trainings. It makes me aware. And then I think there's also like a psychological barrier between student and professor, because obviously there's a power dynamic.
Right.
And it's obviously like many people, it's very scary to go to professor and talk about your vulnerabilities, like I'm not doing well, or I don't understand what you're talking about.
Right.
Because sometimes you might have experiences where people respond badly. Like people might not treat your vulnerability with kindness.
Or like just in general, one of the main things is just that professors don't care. Like there's no.
Yeah, sometimes.
Like throwing through all of high school with my father. My father was just like, hey, if you think this is bad, you know, in college, they're gonna go like this.
Yeah.
Like, and I've experienced that now, and I sincerely dislike that. In general, and I feel like I can speak for most students when I say I dislike that. So.
Yeah, I definitely think so technically, right, USD has this culture of care, and I think definitely we need to take responsibility for how much we care about students, and also detach the person from the academic performance.
Right.
Because we are so used to, myself, I am so used to being judged just based on how well I perform in the class. Like people don't, when I was in Arizona State University, nobody know who I am except for the grade that I have.
Right.
But obviously that's not the entirety of who I am, because nobody knew I was struggling.
Yeah, professors, like I've even heard talk that like professors are just generally judge you like, oh, he has a 2.1 GPA. There's something wrong with him. I'm not even gonna like waste my time on him. I'm gonna like shrug him off and some other things like that. When in reality, like he's having a kid. Like he's struggling financially. He's in debt. He's in loans. He's got this. He's about to get kicked out. Like all these things are happening, and they don't like take the time to really try to help him in any regard.
Yeah.
You know, and that happens a lot to people of color, especially. So that stigma, and then there's also the stereotype of like the person wouldn't want to go to the professor because like how can you help, you know what I'm saying? Like why tell you?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think it's good to take responsibility, whatever position we're in. Like as a student, definitely there are jerks out there, like, but just try it once. Like go to the office hours one time, seeing the vibe, seeing if that's even something you can approach. I think that's worth trying, because it gives you a sense of agency. Like when you take responsibility, it gives you a sense of, oh, I can do something.
And for people who don't know what office hours is, hours is basically just a time zone that teachers set aside here at USD where they can come in, or a student can come in and work with them one-on-one or as a group or however they prefer. Yeah,
and we are actually, as full-time people, we're obliged to hold 5 hours of office hours every week. So I would say, as a student, I would say try it out. And then as us, like professors or any staff on campus, then it's our job to see how can we get training on understanding people who have different walks of life than myself. Right? Like I'm not even from this country. Like I had to kind of learn what the experience of people who are minorities in this country. I'm like, I was not a minority. I had no concept of being a minority when I was growing up. It was not. It was all Asian. In fact, they're all Chinese. So I had to learn that. So I'm sure we can all learn what it feels like, no matter what background you're from. I think it's helpful to proactively learn. And then also systemically, I think the community, the structure of a institution needs to also give enough support, because it does take a lot of time for people to care. And so funding, more support resources, maybe when they are making hiring decisions that take this into account. Like, yeah, I think there is more awareness of that, especially after George Floyd's murder. There is a little bit, I can sense in my work space that there's just more awareness around this. But we can all
needed to me. It was a demand. Yeah, it was no longer.
It was surprising actually to me that I thought I guess I was in a bubble. I just thought that it was apparent that there's a problem, and then I didn't know that not everybody knew that there was a problem, and then that was like the turning point for many people. And I mean, history is this ship that moves slowly. But yeah, honestly, like to me, and I think to a lot of people actually, being able to interact with students is the best part. Like, what is teaching if there's no student?
Right.
There's no point.
Like, and they say that like our tuition is what pays all.
Exactly.
Like, so
exactly.
Like, I don't understand why not give as much as you can to the students.
Yeah, and I would say I just lean into the joy of being able to interact. Like, I didn't reach out to you out of obligation. It was like, hey, I want to really, like, it gives me joy that you actually responded.
Right.
And we get to know each other a little bit more.
Oh, and speaking on that, I'm not even in her class anymore, and she's like still sending me emails from time to time just asking me how I'm doing. Like, again, what professor does that? And so when I get the email on my phone, I'm just like, huh? I'm like, that's. I'm like, hello, what's going on? I'm like, do you need something? And then you're just like, oh no, you're just checking. I'm like, oh, it's just that stigma of you wouldn't even think to do that or think that it would happen is just one of the things that really makes me appreciate you the most. And so I really want to pay respect to your time as well. So I'm going to kind of like wrap everything up into one question, or kind of a two-part question. But I really want you, for everybody who's watching, to kind of talk about how you transitioned from lab to teaching, and then speak on what advice you would give to anyone struggling with mental health or their decision in their career path.
Okay, so I'll take the first question first. And as we talked about this before the recording started, I had back-to-back meeting all day. So if I forget about part B,
you're okay.
just remind me, because my brain is running on low.
It'll tie into it, I bet.
Okay. So the first question, how did I transition from research into teaching? So I thought that I was going to, as like a 17-year-old, I thought I knew everything. I just want to tell everybody, I don't care how certain you are, you're gonna grow. And it's good to grow and to evolve. That's what we're made to do. That's what biology is about, like evolution, right, of everything.
Right.
So I thought I wanted to do research, and I did. I did research when I was in undergrad for 4 years. The entire time I published a paper. So by all external measures, I was doing really well.
Right.
And then I went into grad school, and I got admitted into UCSD, and then we did research there. But then somehow the universe planted a seed of teaching. When I was in my sophomore year, my chemistry professor emailed me and said, do you want to TA for chemistry labs? And at the Arizona State University, the cool thing is that we as undergrads actually could teach the class.
Mm-hmm.
So we were not just kind of like helping the teacher to teach the class. We're actually the teacher teaching the class.
Right.
So I got that rare opportunity to do that for 3 years. So I taught 3 years of chemistry, organic chemistry labs. And then I thought, oh, this is something I never thought I could explore, but it planted a seed in me that I might like teaching. So then when I went to grad school, I specifically chose programs that forced me to teach. Like the programs that mainly focuses on research, I wanted to be able to teach and do research. So so I did that, and then I realized, I think the turning point for me, it's that I realized that when I taught a class, it ended at like 8 p.m. and I needed to teach again that following morning. I felt energized by the end of the 8 p.m. class. And that was not what happened during research.
There was something, I forget the specifics, but I remember you talking about there was someone in your research lab that like made it also a bad experience.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think
I'm forgetting what that was.
absolutely. Yeah. So so my teaching it definitely gave me energy. Like I felt energized through, it's really like, I really like interacting with people, so that is really helping me. But then my research, well, I think the main thing is I don't think I am meant to do research. Like I don't think that's a good fit for me, because there's not a lot of people that you interact with like on the day-to-day basis. Yeah, so there are people who are really, really meant for that. That's great. Not me. And so, however, on top of that, the secondary thing is that I had a really bad advisor. So my advisor was basically, I came out of grad school feeling incredibly traumatized from the whole experience. I was in therapy again. Thank goodness, otherwise I actually wouldn't have graduated. It was just a really hostile work environment, and yes, it was just like horrible, incredible pressure and then to kind of push out results, sometimes I think compromising actual integrity in science. So it was just really against like what I thought science was.
Against all the values of science in general. And so like when you're growing up and you're thinking that you want to do all these things, and then you get somewhere where like you're being like specifically told what it is without any other option, kind of like deprecates what science is fundamentally. As far as we don't know, and that everything is you know, can change at any moment.
I felt like I was kind of almost in a situation where I wasn't feeling the joy of science, because I was doing science. The only reason why I finished my PhD was because I really loved my project. But then the human side of it was just like I felt like I was fighting against this huge current to do science right. So that was definitely not a good experience. So that probably contributed to me like immediately knowing that I don't want to do research anymore after I graduated. And then I started teaching, and then I'm like, okay, so this is like more of what I want. I'm dealing with people. But really, actually, truly, what I really love is people. So I don't have to be teaching science to be loving my job. I actually seriously consider.
Would you teach something else?
I don't have any expertise. I don't have anything else to offer. I think at this level, you know, like I feel like but I think that what I'm actually interested in is human growth, and it just happened to be expressed in the format of, in a science class, I see all of you grow. So I'm actually truly interested in human growth and development. And science is kind of like my outlet for doing that. And I might adapt it to different things in the future. I don't know.
There are many different things. Like you can even teach it online as well. Like, it's a social media world now. So the final part, the second part of that question, sorry about that, was just what do you, because like the options you took were straight to counseling. But what are some techniques or ideas that you could say or give advice for other students with some mental health issues or things steadily going on the decline or heavy stressors?
First of all, you're not alone in that. I think the thing is that people look like they're very put together. and they're not on the inside. Some, I would say, very often. I was not. I looked on paper. I was a straight A student, and deep inside, I was just falling apart. Yeah. And you can tell. And it looks like people have plans, and they're like, "Oh, I thought I want to go to grad school." So if you ask me, it looks like I have a plan. It looks like I got my shit down right. But no, I don't. So I think it's a myth that there's no internal struggle in anyone. And it's actually a growth process that we struggle. So I think that's important to know that you're not alone in it. And that there are actually, I know that there are jerks out there, but there are actually a bunch of people who really love you and want to support you. They're just waiting. Yeah. They're waiting.
Just waiting for you to say something.
Say the first sentence. Yes. It could be, a friend. It can be maybe a professor. And maybe it is a person that you met on the tram. Maybe it's like student support services. Maybe it's, I don't know, the people you carpool with. I don't know.
Hey, look, if you need me, King J is there. I'm there. I'm there.
Get that commuter pass. So I think there is so much love and care outside that is ready to embrace you. And I was just saying, find those people. Give yourself a shot. Like, don't think that, oh, nobody cares. That's really not true. Even though it feels like a lot of people don't care about you. Yes, I felt so desperate when I was in grad school. Like, I was about to quit at any second. But there are people around me. Like, my therapist was there. My now husband was there. My friends were there. We're all going through very similar stories. And lean into that. And know that it's probably a phase. So I would say, reach out. And the other thing is let people help you. Meaning that if somebody say, if I send out an email to somebody, how's it going? You responded. But there are people who just don't know that they can respond.
Right.
Like, don't know that they can actually just fall and someone's gonna catch them. And you sometimes, trust is a tricky thing. You kind of have to, risk trusting to see if somebody is trustworthy sometimes.
Absolutely.
So
sometimes some people are like,
You're like, if you personally block off every single opportunity to be vulnerable, then nobody can penetrate that shield.
Yeah, no one's going to be able to help.
Yeah, because then let us help you. There are so many people. I just want to say, I know that a lot of my colleagues love their students. I love SSS, is great, right? There are a lot of people on campus that are just right there. They're right there. So, and it doesn't have to be on campus. There's just so many people who are just seriously right there. So, I hope that you let people love on you.
Of course.
Yeah, and you don't have to go through this alone at all. Okay. You're a human. You're not this isolated thing. We're all here. So just let the universe support you.
Right.
Yeah.
We're all here for you, especially here at Black Royalty. So thank you so much for coming on. I know I planned this weeks in advance. I was talking to her 3 weeks, hey, I'm gonna start this up. I want you to be the first professor on, and she was like, oh, of course. It's just the planning. I want to eventually be able to get 2 professors on, and then have them just talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? Because there's not a lot of interaction between different departments as well.
Oh,
I want to be. I'm gonna hit everything. Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, as a part of the thank you for being on the podcast, there's something that we do every single time for the people that are new on the podcast. I wish it was a free car. Now, if you want to donate,
my Venmo,
we can. we can support. We can get some merch down. We can get all types of things. I want everything to come through and be supported with Black Royalty here. So you already know what we're gonna do.
Oh, what is that?
We got you.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
A very, very nice crown.
What does it? Am I allowed to put it on?
Of course.
Oh wow!
Here at Black Royalty, everyone is royalty. So
I feel
we gotta hit you with the crown.
I'm worried to drop it.
Don't.
Okay, I have to put it down. I don't have the head.
Maybe not drop that, but.
Okay. Oh, it's staying.
But thank you very, very much for coming on. Oh, I wear it.
See?
I don't know if I can wear it with my hair.
I can do it. Hey, look at that. You said everybody's royalty.
Well, everyone is absolutely royalty.
So you should let us help you and love on you.
Of course.
That's
Everyone
right.
is
Put that
welcome.
crown on yourself.
Thank you so much,
All right.
and thank you guys for listening. I'll catch you next time.
Peace.
And just for the record, this episode, like this specific one, might not come out for like a month or so.
I'm so upset. Just kidding.
I just wanted to give you that heads up.
Hey.
You know? All right.
right.
So you want to give me a countdown whenever you're ready?
It's already recording, so if you just want
Oh, we can just.
Yeah, you said you wanted bloopers, so I was just like,
I'm with you.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get in the scene. I gotta get in the character. Is this chair not in the way? Okay. Hold on.
Do you want me to start?
No. Should be like I'm the host. I'll be the host. This is our logo, by the way.
I saw. I know. I've been on your Instagram, though I won't follow it until you have more followers because I don't want to
Why?
reveal myself.
You don't want anybody to scroll through and find.
Exactly. I don't want people to find.
You just she's just staring from afar. And
Yeah, exactly.
Get
I'm a
some more
stalker.
followers.
Yes. Yes.
All right. All right.